Welcome to Living from the Heart. I am your host, Tina Thrussell, light dancer and co-founder of Best You Can Be and messenger of the Shin, the way of the heart. Sorry about that, folks. We've really been having a lot of technology problems this morning, so I'm gazing all over the place, making sure we're running live, and it looks like we are. So today I am delighted, absolutely delighted to have all the way from Mexico, Jo Dibblee on the show with me today. Now, I first met Jo, oh my goodness, I think 10 or 15 years ago when she actually went by another name. I mentioned in the descriptor that Jo has had quite a roller coaster ride, and changing identities a few times had something to do with that. At any rate, even at that point in time when I didn't know her story, I found Jo to be so inspirational because she was just so passionate about helping people, about wanting women to live a better life. And she really was inspiring to me. And then when I found out her whole story, wow, even more inspiring that someone could pop back after having such a rough go in life and come out smiling on top and just feeling like life is good. So before I bring Jo onto the show, I'll just draw your attention to the bottom of the screen where there is a little message scrolling by inviting you to subscribe to Heart and Mind Matters. Every other week, we send out by email an inspirational article, YouTube video, quote of the week, and it's complimentary. Just go to BESTUCAN, the letter B.ca, and subscribe there. Now, without further ado, let me introduce you to this beautiful woman, Jo Dibblee. And it'll take a second. Yay!
Well, we've definitely had some challenges, and thank you for bearing with me. Mostly, though, Tina, thank you so much for the beautiful and kind introduction. I often say to people that the reason I am where I am is I got to live vicariously through other people when I was going through my challenges. I think often, when we're in our own muck and mire, I'll say that, if we're serving other people, there seems to be a light that comes because there's no such thing as unselfish service, because whenever I was helping someone else, they were helping me by virtue of allowing me to help them. And it was a blessing. And every time I'm in a situation and it's challenging, I go back to that. I just go back to serving, because serving it's a core value for me, but it's also, in some ways it's very selfish because it's helped me so many times. So thank you for your kind introduction, but mostly thank you for allowing me to be here today with you.
Oh, it's certainly my pleasure. I was so excited when you said that, yes, you'd be on the show. And what you just said connects me back to a couple of shows ago. I interviewed Sarah Ross, and she was at a point in her life where, like, seriously desperate, considering taking her life. And it was through serving others that she found a reason to live. You're so right. That place of helping others helps ourselves, and it does bring that light into our lives. And the light, can we say it brings the light into our lives? I think what it does is ignite the light that's already there inside that's maybe been sleeping.
It does. It absolutely does, because, not even long ago, I'm talking like a few days ago, I went and visited a gentleman who had been severely burned in the hospital. I'd been having challenges, because we have challenges. Life is not always easy, no matter what you've overcome, no matter what oh, I hit this hurdle. Oh, I leaped over that hurdle. Oh, by the way, here's your next hurdle, right? Like, life happens, and it's not as though you're going to get a free pass. But I can say every time I serve someone else, rather than focus on what's going on in my own muck and mire, it changes the outcome for me. So I went to see this gentleman. He was and is severely burned. And actually, I've been helping set up a GoFundMe page with some other people. in Mexico, there's public funding for, you know, some public funding, but they don't have, for the people that are requiring the public funding, they don't have the traditional burn units. So this man has lost 8 of his 10 toes. He's got, I mean, severe burns. Okay? It's been tragic. I walked into that hospital room. Let me tell you, my little issues were just that. They were little issues. My little disappointments, my little emotions. I'm not downplaying other people. What I'm saying is, by being in service to him, he was in service to me. He kept saying to me, I kept asking him, how can I serve you more? How can I help you more? And he kept saying, no necesito, señora. And I started to cry. I thought, no necesito. Are you kidding? Like, let me help you. Let me do something to serve you. And yes, it is. I do believe in the most beautiful of ways. It is selfish, but it helped. I walked out of that hospital knowing I had to help get this GoFundMe campaign. I knew what I had to do, and we start sharing that because it's necessary. We are here to serve others. That is what we're here for. We're not here to do time. We're not here to settle. And I'm preaching, I apologize. But that's what we're here for.
And that's just an illustration of your passion. I mean, when we get into that preach mode, it's because we've hit that spot in our soul that says, yes, this is important to me, and this is the message I need to get out there.
Exactly.
And that's what this show is about. It's about celebrating people who live with purpose and passion, who live from their heart. And you definitely live from your heart, Jo. You live from this place of love, of giving and serving. And I have watched through all the years, all the amazing things you've done, from publishing your book and launching the whole Frock Off movement, helping women to shed those masks, those layers, those frocks, as you call them, that we put on, and live more true to who we are. Speaking of women, Teresa Sims has joined us. Good morning, Teresa. Thanks for watching live. And it's that's what gives life meaning, right?
It totally does. And you know, Teresa's another woman I've known for a while, and she herself has shed so many frocks. Her story is powerful as well. You know, we all have such an ability to be the change in other people's lives just by sharing our story, you know, whether it's published or not. I published my story out of necessity to be the change in my life, but there were other women that were affected by what had happened to me. And I thought, if one of those women reads that story, maybe they'll know, yes, we came from a bad situation, but we don't have to stay there. None of us have to stay. You know, what happens in the past is in the past. I'm not saying deny it. What I'm saying is stand on your story. That's my thing. That's my mantra. Stand on your story, not in it. You know, when you're in it, I've been in it, get out of it as soon as you can, because it's not a pleasant place and it doesn't serve you or anyone else. And really, there's someone out there looking for you to share your light, as you talk about the light. When you share your story, you provide, it's like a beacon to someone else. I know it sounds cliche and it sounds woo-woo, but I don't care because it's true. You open up a light for someone else. You open up a way for someone else to walk through. And I know Teresa's done this as well. I know you've done it. We all do it when we are willing to be vulnerable and stand in that purpose and say, this is what I stand for. And so some have said to me, well, you know, what about the judgment? So who cares? You know what? Nobody's got a closet without skeletons. And if you do, you're fibbing. I'm being nice. You're fibbing with a big F. Okay? Like a big F. When you share your story in whatever way you share, whether it's publicly or not, you actually give permission for other people to share theirs. That happened at lunch yesterday. This beautiful young lady told me a story. I don't want to get emotional. It was so powerful about what she's had to overcome. And She said she read the book and she realized she had to write hers down. Whether she publishes it or not is irrelevant. What's relevant is that she knows she's not her story, but that it could serve someone else, right? So anyway, again, back to the preaching. Preaching Jo.
It's beautiful. So I have to read this. Teresa says, Jo is such a beautiful soul who has definitely touched my life. And there are a lot of women out there who can say that, Jo. There are a lot of women, countless, hundreds of women who can say that you've touched their lives. She says, yes, absolutely. Sharing is the best gift we can give someone. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, you know, we talked a little bit last night getting ready for today. And I had been in the middle of writing the time that you called. And I set that aside and we had our conversation. I thought, okay, that's good. That's done. And I went to bed and I laid there for 10 minutes and I had to get up and write again. 3 hours later, wow. 3 hours later, 1:30 in the morning, my computer froze up. And it was like, okay, there's a message. I'm supposed to stop now. I'm done. I need to just let this sit. And really, I was doing just exactly what you said. I was writing my story as if I was delivering a speech to a group of women.
Beautiful. Just
to get in touch again with who am I? What have I been through? And how has what I've been through helpful to somebody else potentially?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because there's someone out there, Tina, someone who is looking for that story from you. And that's the whole point. Like, not everybody resonates with my story, okay? And that's okay. That's not, I'm meant to serve those I'm meant to serve, whether it's through the work we're doing down here in Team Humanities Baja, whether it's with the work I do with Frocking, whether it's the, the retreats we do down here, the volunteerism with Ignite You. I'm not meant to serve everyone. We're not meant to serve everyone, but those we are meant to serve, we need to stand for those people, because those are the people that are looking for us and need us to be, to stand for them too. And it's amazing what happens when we unite, like the changes we make and the people we serve collectively and yet independently, if that makes sense, and that happened for me. People stood for me that didn't even know my story, but they kept saying, you have worth, Jo. I had people, well, my story from when I was tiny, people saying, you're smart, stay in school, little segue, when the movie The Help came out, I was on the plane when I watched it. People were passing me tissues from the aisles because I was bawling, because that part where she says, you is smart, you is beautiful, it reminded me of when I was a child and someone stood for me. My pretend grandpa from the book stood for me and told me I had value in the world. We need to do that for each other because we are truly here to serve each other. We belong to each other, really,
Yeah, we do. I that quote comes to mind about every third discussion I have with some heart-based person on this show, and that is, no man is an island, right? We are not meant to go it alone. No. And the people who go it alone are protecting themselves. They're hiding behind a wall that says, if I don't let anybody in, nobody can hurt me. Mm-hmm. But what they miss is that if I don't let anybody in, I also don't get to experience the love and the joy and the fulfillment in life.
Absolutely. And I was there. I was there when I was in hiding. When you met me, even though I was living vicariously through other people, that frock of armor, because a frock is just a disguise for those of you watching. A frock is simply a disguise. And I would literally pretend I was putting on armor. Well, I couldn't let anybody in either, right? So as much as I love serving other people, they didn't know me. And I had to keep it that way because, one, I was a witness in a murder investigation, not through any fault of my own. I was a foster kid. It was a bad situation. The book tells that story. But the reality was I couldn't receive love, and I had a hard time receiving anything. Anybody wanted to help me, I was like, oh, and you met me during that time. People would offer to help me, and I'd be, oh, no, let me help you. I don't need any help. I needed a ton of help, but I couldn't receive because I perceived it as being, I'm going to say, weak, putting me in a vulnerable position. Not that I was better than, but that I was vulnerable if I was accepting. But that's part of the frock. That's a frock. It's something we learn in society, that we have to stand on our own. But there's that other African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone, right? But if you want to go together, like going together, I'm misquoting it, and I apologize. But basically, go together, and that's when something beautiful happens. This Team Humanity thing that we did down here, I had no idea how big it would get in such a few short months. Like, we brought down 15,000 pounds of donations. Like, in a few months, like, medical supplies, you name it, because everybody collectively linked arms. And that's the beauty of this, So I agree with you. It isn't about, there is no isolation for change. To really change, you have to unite with others.
Whoa, here's the big question. Teresa asks, Jo, how did you peel that frock off?
Oh, that is a big one. When I first decided to let go, like to just write my story, even just for myself, that was scary enough. When I decided to go public, that was very scary. I mean, first of all, just writing it down, because if someone found it, there was big risk. I had been in hiding for 35 years. I had 19 different names. I mean, I was scared. I was really scared. But when I peeled, well, the very first thing was when I pressed send to my editor, because now somebody else was going to know that story. So that was the first one. And Jen Violi was my editor. And oh my, I tell you, I was in Mexico, actually. I was staying at a resort, and I'd finished, and it was like, right, I pressed the send button. Every part of me felt ill, truthfully. I shook. I was crying. It was hard, but I did it. And then after I recovered, when some of the staff came over and saw me, Senora, are you okay? I'm like, I'm not okay. I can't explain to them that I'm just freaked out because I wrote my book. Like, that doesn't even make sense. So anyway, after that, when I started speaking, and this is a really good question, Teresa, because when I wrote my book, then I had to start to speak. Now, Tina, you had seen me speak before. I use dark humor to fill a void when I'm nervous, okay? Now, there wasn't a lot of things I could joke about with some of my stories. So when the crowd was silent and staring at me, it made me extremely nervous. And I wasn't sure if they were judging, because in my story, I talk about my parents. I talk about, you don't become a foster kid because you come from a great, I'm not slamming my parents, but there's issues, right? I didn't know what people were thinking. And I had to peel that layer of shame, that frock off, to say, you're not responsible for your parents. And even my own shame about what had happened, one layer at a time. And it was hard. And, it's now I can talk about everything without feeling uncomfortable. And when I see people dancing in the nervousness, I've had to learn to just be calm with it and be still with it and go, it's okay. They're processing what you're telling them, and it's a big story. Most people don't say, I was a witness in a murder investigation. I spent 35 years in hiding. I had 19 names, and I moved 50 some odd times to stay alive, and I had 7 passports. That is not a normal coffee story. Right? So of course they're going to look like deer in the headlights. And I had to get comfortable with it, and I had to let them process, and I had to give them space, and I had to not be worried about how Jo felt. And that was a big lesson to learn.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Oh my goodness. Adele just came online and she said, it's time to work together and shine our lights for the raising of humanity.
It is. It absolutely is. There's no better time because the world really needs that right now. Really needs that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You said it well. The organization, the rallying of people. You linked arms and you did it together,
Yeah,
and that's really what it's about. Is coming together.
it is. It totally is. I mean, I look at, whether we were sharing earlier a couple weekends ago, a collective group of people, all volunteers, a couple of vets, we were able to spay and neuter 97 animals. That is, and everybody just volunteered, right? Down in here in Mexico, down in Los Barriles. And it's because it's a common cause. You want to change something, have a common cause. You get people from all walks of life, but we, all of us love the animals. So we're going to show up. And that's why we started, for me, with Frock Off, we started doing these volunteer tourism kind of things, like these retreats that are allowing people to, where I curate the animals, or like helping things with the orphanage so we can help the kids rise up. Not a hand out, but a hand up, and teaching them skill set, right? Same with the colonies, which are the poorest of poor. It's like, I grew up poor, but compared to these people, I was filthy rich. And, it's really rewarding to help those to see them rise and to be the change. Not to this, I'm not saying that. I'm saying to actually see the change that you're making. And it's not always about money. Like, some of the times we're going in and we're teaching a skill set with donated items. For example, we're teaching how to crochet those dishcloths, right? Those things can be sold. We give all the product to the person. So we give all the goods to them. They make the product, we teach, then we give the goods, then they take it to market. Now they're making money because, just on a sidebar, most people don't know at the all-inclusives, those women and men only earn $5 to $7 a day, not an hour, a day. So it's really important that they have a side hustle. Those dishcloths will generate $15 in one sale. Now, remember, if you only earn $5 a day, you're probably not living in standard housing. You're not living, and sometimes you're not living in any housing. You're living in whatever shanty you can do. So it's a lot different. But that's the reason we're doing teamhumanity.com. So.
Yes. And so this is a good time for me to bring on screen your website, Frock Off. Oops, I missed the O in .com. Let me fix that. Boom. There we go. Let's try that again. www.frockofflive.com, where people can have an opportunity to find out more about the tours that you do, the humanitarian work that you do, the programs that you offer working with women to help them shed their frocks. It's beautiful, beautiful work, and you're touching a lot of people, and we want as many people as possible to see this opportunity. I was going to say, we're starting to have a little bit of technology interference again. We'll just breathe.
Yeah, we were joking about that earlier, calling it Mexico, because there are some challenges when you're in a developing country with internet. And I'm grateful to be able to do this at all. But definitely, one of the things that you learn down here, one of the classic sayings, and I'm hoping people can hear me right now, is mañana, mañana, señora, which means tomorrow, tomorrow, lady, right? And you start to learn a different level of patience. And I think that is actually a really good thing. It's something I need to work on. So, yeah.
I want to tie back in. You were talking about when you were talking about your challenges, and sometimes people got that deer in the headlights look, and you had to learn to just be calm and quiet and let them have that space to digest and process that. I remember when I was doing a little work with Zen Master Sherry Huber, and that's how she defined compassion: having a calm passion for people, to be in the space that they're in without having to fix anything, without having to make it better. Just hold space for them, hold them in that love, and give them space to experience what they're experiencing.
I love that. I love that, because that is exactly, and that's for me, that was hard to learn, because I wanted to fill the void. I didn't know how to be quiet in a moment of my discomfort. They were processing. It wasn't about them doing, it was about me not handling it. And, just being able to even acknowledge that today is another frock I would have had back then. Like, I wouldn't even have known how to tell you what was going on. It would have been like, what's wrong? Like, there's all this nervous energy that I don't have anymore. It's just, people need time to process. And that's a beautiful way to say it, because it's true compassion, allowing someone to take it at their time, not mine. Right? So.
Oh, beautiful. I can't believe we're like at 26 minutes already. Where does the time go? It goes so fast.
Wow.
So we've got 4 minutes left. If you had some great gem that you wanted to share with our viewers at this point, what might it be?
That the world truly needs the best of you. Whatever talent, gift, or service that you have, that you uniquely deliver, meaning only you deliver it the way you deliver it anyway. Please share it. Don't play it. We often think that our gifts, because they're easy for us, they're not that valuable, but they are valuable, and we need you. We need each other. Never have I realized this more than the last few months. We all will encounter things in our life. We'll all have health issues. We'll all have heartache. We'll also have joyful moments. But this time, not just in the world, but yes, in the world, but in our own lives, there comes a time, I think, where we say, okay, I've achieved all this. Now what? And I guess what I would say, if I left you with anything, what I hope you know is that your worth is so important, and your time is now. Don't wait. I had a really bad health scare a couple of years ago, and it was a good reality check. So please do what you can when you can. Not wait for the perfect time, because there is never a perfect time. It's perfect right now.
What beautiful advice. I can relate to that so well. And Katerina Berger just got on and gave us a big heart. It's lovely that people are interacting with us. It's so fun that Facebook allows us to do that. Jo, I can't thank you enough for bearing with that Mexico technology and taking time out of all the good work that you're doing there to be here with me today and to share with our viewers some of your beautiful heart and wisdom about what it means to live from your heart. And we just send you so much love and blessings for the work that you're doing there. And everyone, check out frockofflive.com, see how you can jump on board and be part of this great work that Jo is doing. Thank you. Thank you, Jo. It has been an honor to reconnect again with you in this way, in this show. And I feel blessed.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love you.
Love you. You are amazing. I love the work you're doing, and thank you for the honor. It's been a privilege, and I will definitely be sharing more and more as you go. And it's been beautiful to watch what you're doing. So thank you again. It's a privilege.
You are so welcome. And for our viewers, please tune in again next week, Wednesday, 9 a.m. Stephen Hobbs is my guest next week. Time to speak to another open-hearted gentleman. I love the fact that I have men and women alike stepping forward, wanting to speak about this topic of living from the heart. So again, we thank you, Jo, and to all our viewers, ciao for now. Yes. It doesn't want to stop. It wants us to keep going.
Yay. Love it.